Tahiti, Papeete, French Polynesia, City Marina. It's all happening, and Jane and I are here right now. And what's going on? Well, don't stress, we're not starting a YouTube channel, but I'm wearing my dorky Zeke sun hat because it's very beautiful weather here. And I just figured we're working on our new boat, which is currently called Ellie, and some people will probably be interested in what's happening. So this is my 18th boat, okay, and we just bought a Beneteau 423 42 footer, 2003 model. It was commissioned in 2006, and we bought it here in Papeete some weeks ago. We've just arrived. It's a pretty cool boat. That's all we brought 6 bags on the plane with us, and I'll tell you a bit about the boat first, and then I'll tell you a bit about what's happening, what's going on. Basically, it's our new home and mobile office Starlink. So yeah, 42 footer. It's got a huge reputation as being a great liveaboard cruising boat, and I got to concede that that's absolutely correct. We've had a Lagoon 450, our only other production boat. All the rest have been special, but some of the real keen features on this, and the reason why it can go anywhere, is that first of all, the rig is pretty much like a masthead rig. Okay, very strong sections, twin spreader rig. If you can see all that going up there. And this one, unlike most, is actually set up with a staysail, so I would never sail a boat just with one furling system on the bow, and a lot of the production boats are only set for that, but we've got a staysail on this. It's got a bit of a sprit for a code 0 sort of arrangement. In fact, it's actually a huge Jenica on this boat, but you can run ring and wing, so that's kind of nice. And then everything else about this is just a fully optioned boat. The first owner put everything on it that he could possibly order. So great rig, you know, all the options. Anyway, as a liveaboard, it's fantastic. So I'll just jump on board. Oh, I'll tell you, the other part is for a liveaboard fun boat, and Jane and I have spent quite a bit of time in the Pacific, you really need good water access, so that's a big part of it. So you've got a good boarding ladder there to get in out of the water. We're going to fit a hydrovane while we're here, and we're going to fit a desalinator as well. Got the life raft on the sterns, got the davits, and in fact, even walking around here, you'll see on the far right there, that boat's already got Starlink on it, so it's our new mobile office. 300 watt solar panels and a wind generator, Silent Pro wind generator. So up there, so plenty of options for alternate energy. You don't have to run the generator. It hasn't got a generator, but I'll explain that later. It's got a really cool Dodger and a bimini that folds up for when you're at sea. A lot of people say, well, their bimini's out, but I never would. And that just folds away onto itself. So Dodger stays, but that's how it works. And for 2 people with occasional 4, it's a great boat to live on. So I'll just hop up here, try not to drop my phone, and I'll head to the bow. Okay, so you can see all the usual cruising features. It's got all the mainsail gear going back to the cockpit. It's got no mast winches per se. Everything's back there. We've got electric winch for the main halyard and so on. Lots of deck hatches, and the teak decks are okay, but they're original. So coming up to 20 years old. Anchoring system's good, although I like a really solid anchor, so we're going to shift that for a bigger one. The boat, I'll talk about the boat's history when we get back in the cockpit, but the second owner, Quinton and Ilki, I think that's how you pronounce her name, refitted the boat with a lot of new gear, new Carver furling gears, both of them, all new standing rigging bits and pieces, a whole pile of other stuff as we go through. And the anchoring arrangement on this, anchors are really important. If you want to have a really good look at these boats, just go to YouTube and search Beneteau 423. Plenty of people have done lots of walkthrough videos, including on this boat, and you'll see all about it. But a great anchor winch, and this boat is pristine. It's hard to believe, but it's like a brand new boat, and there's a reason for that, which I'll explain later. So you can see plenty of nice liveaboard things, like lots of hatches. Side decks are a little bit cluttered with all the bits. They're only small, but that's what you get with a boat that's optimized for the accommodation. Great sailing design. They've got a fantastic reputation for actual sailing, besides the thing that Beneteau do really well, which is the human dynamic of actually living on board. Okay, so even this arrangement here, you can actually pull the whole thing up so it's out of the way, just walk through on the back. Big cockpit. this wheel pivots around actually, just to get it out of the way. You can have it angling down there. It's got the usual deals. I'm not going to take them off. You've got tri-data there, which is depth and speed. You've got wind instruments. You've got the autopilot. You've got the chart plotter. You've got the bow thruster here. You've got the anchor winch up and down from here. You've got the compass from here. It's Constellation, Plastimo Constellation, good compasses. Single lever Morse controls, so everything happens. You've got really big deck locker here, a great big one, with all sorts of stuff. That's all the sheets and running gear and bits and pieces. Then you've got another very deep locker here, and I'll put on our website, McIntyreAdventure.com, later on, I'll put a whole heap of photos on the boat. You'll see in this locker, it goes right down through to the hull. Heaps of stuff. There's a spare outboard in there, 3.5 horsepower, 2-stroke. This is our 4-stroke, 2.5 horsepower 4-stroke Yamaha, really good nick. And then on this side, another really deep locker. You get access to the whole steering gear and so on. And then this one's the gas bottles in there. So it's a self-draining locker for the gas bottles. And then another big deck locker in there. It's got the paddle, stand-up paddleboard and all sorts of other stuff, panic bags. Everything came with the boat. It's quite amazing how much gear's there. Great table, for dining in the cockpit. And of course, the big thing that I really like about all this is that all of the sail controls are coming back to the cockpit. This is electric winch. So you got an electric winch there, so you can make it really lazy for us young fellas, hoisting the mainsail, putting a reef in, whatever. Same on the opposite side, all the lines coming back, another winch, but that one you've got to actually work, so there's no electric winch on that. And then all the sail handling gear for the head sail, for the genoa, and for the staysail all come back. Just got 2 cars on the tracks there, all very simple, so that's kind of cool. And this is the first time I've had a boat with this arrangement for the life raft, which is stored on the rail, which is fine. It keeps it out of the way. It's ready to go. Brand new life raft. It's only 2 years old. Most of the gear that was on the boat is 2 years old, because Quentin and Ilke sailed from France across the Atlantic and up to through Panama and then into the Pacific. So those solar panels are on tilting arrangement there, so that's kind of cool. So you can tilt them to wherever. And there's a fantastic, you'll see it in the photos, fantastic net arrangement here that holds all sorts of veggies and fruit and coconuts and papaya and all that sort of stuff. Everyone gets very jealous on that, and I believe it, because the photos make it look really cool. And when we fit the hydrovane here on the back, the vane will be just underneath the davits. So there is a new dinghy on board, a 3-metre tender made in France, really cool. So that's all kind of fun. Yeah, before we get down, I'll tell you a bit about the amazing history on this boat. The story goes something like this, that Quentin bought the boat, he bought the boat 2 years ago, just a bit over 2 years ago, and the original owner basically kept it in immaculate condition. He paid someone to do all the work and maintenance on the boat. So when you see it, you just got to look at the engine, and I'll show you. You would think the engine is still sitting on the showroom floor. There is not one mark at all on the engine, let alone everything else, like the keel bolts and things like that. They are just, they're spotless. There's no rust, there's nothing, even the bilge. The bilge, you could eat your dinner off it. It's quite crazy. I've never seen a boat like it that's 20 years old. So Quentin got a great boat, and then he set it up to do the 2-year cruise that they've just finished. Great couple. I couldn't believe it. We bought the boat based on the spec, but once we bought it, he says, oh, by the way, there's a lot of extra gear, and we even, in our 6 bags, we bought other stuff, and the discovery when we got here is just huge. Quentin said, oh, we've got a couple of survival suits there. They're not just survival suits, they're the TPS survival suits, which are like $1,000 each or something, They're sort of high performance ones, and the tool locker is just massive. Got all the tools there, all the spare parts for everything, and it's all very well organised. Everything's labelled. It's stunning. So we arrived yesterday morning and managed to move the boat from the other marina around here. We had the help of Raiatea Yacht Services, and they've been absolutely fantastic here in Papeete. So I couldn't recommend them enough, which is kind of cool. And then we moved it here to the city marina, which is very convenient for loading and working and getting things done. But we got the last berth on the marina. You can't book when you come here, you got to turn up. So we're happy about that. Anyway, so the boat is in my opinion pristine. The decks are I'm not a big fan of teak decks. I would never order a boat with teak decks. The decks are serviceable. They've still got another 4 or 5 years in them, no problem, but they've certainly had some work, and people in the past maybe not have known to never clean the decks going with the grain. You always go across the grain, you know, so it's all a bit eroded in some bits, but it's fantastic. And the Dodgers are really good. I'm not sure of the age of this Dodger is really good. The Bimini's getting on a bit. That's an NV Dodger from France, and the good news is the specifications for it are all here, so we could order a new one from NV. They've been supporters of ours in the past, so there's lots of advantages to having a production boat. By the way, you know, everything's there. And even on that aspect, when we get down below, you know, we arrive on the boat, there's a whole locker full of all the manuals, including the original owners and operator manual for the whole boat. So you get your wiring diagrams, you get instructions on how to do it, you've got all the polar diagrams for sailing and all this sort of stuff. It's just crazy. It's insane, actually. It's really cool. And Quentin, of course, they looked after the boat really well. So it's super clean, super fresh, and so that's why we're doing this right now, just to show you what you can get. Yeah, it was 95 grand euro. And my feeling is it's 20,000 under the market, but there's a reason for that. One of them is that the boat is actually in Papeete, and some people won't travel or buy a boat from overseas. Plus you pay a lot extra to fly out here, you know, the airfares, return airfares are a couple of thousand each, and then, you know, so it goes. But anyway, it's perfect for us because I'll talk about the voyage plan later. But yeah, I've shown this Starlink. In fact, walking around here virtually, it's like spot the boat that doesn't have Starlink. Everyone's got Starlink on here, so it's really changing the face of what goes. And that's the case for Jane and I as well, because we'll be absolutely working off the boat. It's just the same thing. When we started the GGR, the first one of our round the world races, we did everything off the boat, and people sort of, you know, they thought we were in an office in Europe somewhere, but we actually were just working off the boat. So, and that follows through now. We've got the Starlink, and we've also got an Iridium Go exec, which is on 24 hours a day for emails and WhatsApp, and, you know, WhatsApp video calls, things like that. That's not so bad. But when we do heavy stuff, we've got the Starlink to rely on. So that changes the way people operate, and that's the same all around the world. Anyway, so coming down below, I'm doing this before we, in fact, I'm going to go wide here, boom, before we mess it up too much. So this is the boat. It's already getting a bit messy with our stuff going on. Jane is doing our paperwork for the marina. Is it working, Jane? Nope, just doing thingos. So anyway, so yeah, great layout. So you've got a dinette there with a central seat arrangement, which is really cool. It's quite a beamy boat, 13-foot beam or something. So very comfortable. That actually drops down into a double bed, so that's pretty cool. And the galley works well because you can brace yourself up against this seat. So starting from this end of the galley, just locker space everywhere. Twin sinks, but you can put these covers over. So for whatever you want, you've got salt water, fresh water, foot pumps. You've got pressure hot and cold water here. You've got, this is a spice rack. You've got chalkboard here so you can put notes on. Excuse me. Book racks and cupboards and lockers all around the back there. And then here, two burner top oven and grill arrangement, Eno stove, big fridge freezer. We've only just started to stick junk in there at the moment. So all very clean and all very slick. Easy to do. Extra bench top that just flips up there, so if you need that. This is the big black bag is our tender at the moment. That'll eventually live outside, so that's pretty cool. And then chart table is really simple. You can stay there, Jean. Nope. Jean's hiding. Okay, so simple chart table, simple instruments, radar there, VHF radio, electrical switchboard with everything you need on it. You know, there's lots of little lockers everywhere, the stuff lockers and so on. But you know, the GMDSS VHF on the top there. We come in here, there's tools in here, everything you need for sailing, bits and pieces, spare parts. We didn't need to bring anything. Lift up chart table. This is a locker, some of them are out, but that's full of all the manuals. Beautiful leather briefcase, Beneteau briefcase, so you can see it there, boom boom, with all the operators manuals, and they're kind of cool. It's a very simple boat to understand. The Beneteau boats are just fantastic for lots of different reasons. If I just pull this up, I'll just show you the way they set up the the design of their, you know, the engineering and bits is phenomenal. Having had 17 boats, you know, these production boats are the best way to go. This is just one example. Just in one locker, you've got your entire freshwater management system there, and bilge pumping and so on. And you've even got here, this is the best one. I try to fit these in my other boats as well. It's the same as a domestic water counter, so it measures the number of litres that you're actually consuming. Now, I don't know whether that was standard Beneteau, but it's something that I always like to have, and there's one that's already here. This is the hot water system, okay, so running off the engine or off the shore power. You got the bilge pumps there as well, you know, electric bilge pumps there, diaphragm pump ones, so different bits and pieces, but everything's in one spot. We are going to fit a desalinator. We're going to use I nearly said a Seagull 40. It's actually a Catadan Power Survivor 40. I was involved with Catadan since the very beginning, Seagull days, and it's not a heavy output, but we don't need a lot of water on this boat. So 40 litres a day, sorry, 40 gallons a day, that's where the rating comes from, is enough if we ran it for 24 hours. So anyway, that's now suitably trashed all that. As I said, this table sort of drops down and turns into another double berth. So this is the master cabin up here, beautiful, big double bed there, seats just here. The furniture is pristine, you know, like it's unmarked for a 20-year-old boat. It's just crazy. Everything's there. In fact, this was Quentin's first aid kit, all their medical supplies, which is extensive and substantial, including some of the important heavy-duty drugs that you might need. We bought a major MSOS first aid kits with us, but we didn't even need to bring that because everything's there. So all the hatches, they've all got curtains that come across. They've all got fly screens, insect screens rather, all very cool. Underneath here is the bow thruster, lots of storage under here. There's pull-out drawers, but I'm not really here to give you a tour. You can see them on YouTube, just 423, Beneteau 423. Very good. That's got the cover on the toilet. That's our big Janica there for the bowsprit. This has got a shower door that closes, just pulls across and clicks, so you've got a separate shower and separate toilet, which is unbelievable for liveaboard. It's fantastic. And when you dip into the cupboards here, you've got access. Quentin actually changed every skin fitting, every valve, all the hoses, bits and pieces. They're all brand new, only 2 years old. So, but it's all very easy to get at, easy to service, all just absolutely perfect. You can see up in there. The same under the aft lockers in the lazarette. The autopilot and all the steering systems and everything are absolutely fantastic. In fact, on that is a very critical issue here. Critical issue because I've lost track of the number of boats, production boats, very big brand name production boats that have sunk and people abandoning ship for life rafts, and non-production boats for the simple fact they have a spade rudder with no skeg, and so when the rudder shaft comes through the hull, it goes up into the deck somewhere, whatever, is usually supported by a minimum of 2 bearings. But if the rudder shaft ever breaks, you've basically got the rudder connected through the hull, and then there's no top bearing or anything, so it wobbles, and as it wobbles, it smashes a big hole in the hull, and the boats go, fill from the stern coming forward. Beneteau on this one have done a really good deal where the shaft comes through the hull, the rudder shaft comes through the hull because it is a spade rudder. They've then, imagining this, a waterproof tube, but it's encased in, right up way above the waterline, fully braced and stressed to the hull. So effectively, it's supported at the hull. It's supported in this tube, which is about 50 centimetres or 45, 50 centimetres, before it exits that and goes to the deck bearing. So even if the rudder shaft broke above that, it's not going to wobble. You can't wobble and smash the back of the hull, touch wood. There's plenty of other ways a boat can sink, but I would never, ever buy a production boat or any boat that has the rudder coming through the hull and then it goes straight to the rudder shaft, because if that shaft ever breaks, and that's the way it happens, it's gone. Then we have a hydrovane on the back auxiliary rudder as well. We'll put that on, so we've got a spare backup if something happens. But I'm confident, it's not impossible, but I'm confident, touch wood, if that ever happened, it shouldn't sink the boat. So something to think about if you're buying a boat with a spade rudder. Anyway, coming back down here into the aft cabins. So there's 2 aft cabins. Double cabins. This one You can see pretty big space there. There's a board you can put in here. It goes all the way down. If you don't want to use that space, I'll show you in the other cabin. And you can put that as storage, and it's still big enough to be a double there. This is a queen size when it's out. At this one, we've just got the cockpit cushions and stuff in there. And we've got the engine cover off. Lots of storage space here. There's a couple of the TPS survival suits, bits and pieces. There was 4 inflatable life jackets on the boat. We bought another 4, plus my Plastimo harnesses. This is a 2-way door, so if you've got the companionway, the cabin door shut like that, you can still go in and you've got your own ensuite toilet and shower. Okay, so that's pretty cool. And so that's the usual deal. This one doesn't have its own door, but it's got a pull-out shower there that you use. The other one's a proper shower, its own porthole. And if we come in on this door, I'll just show you once again how good it is having a production boat. Like, you look in here, everything is just so organised. And as I say, Quentin must be, I've never met him personally, must be a quintessential sailor. Everything is very well organised, labelled. These are all renewed totally 2 years ago. They did a full epoxy treatment. They sandblasted all the old anti-fouling off from 17 years or whatever. And then found no osmosis and then epoxied it all again. So all very slick and very cool. I'll show you the other side, then I'll show you the engine. You won't believe it, but I didn't. But I do now because I've seen it. I'm on the boat. This side looks like it's set up as a seagoing side. Jane and I will probably use this as an ocean-going bed because it's got upholstery on the side that's a pull-out, so you can swap it from cabin to cabin if this is the leeward side. And this has got the bunk board in it from there. And Quentin didn't have a dissano, so it carries a lot of water, a lot of 4 or 5 litre water bottles in there. There's a lot of tank storage on this boat as well. It's like a huge amount of, I think it's 400 and something litres. Plenty of locker space again, fantastic. Got your own door. Both of these, I took the engine side off. I'll lift the one up in the middle, so you got complete access to everything all around the engine. So there's doors in both cabins, and I'll just lift this up and show you what I mean. Okay, coming into the engine room here. All the batteries are really good, but the engine, I kid you not, there's not a mark on it anywhere. There's just nothing. It's just like a brand new engine. It's all completely original. It's got 120 amp, I think it is, or 110 amp alternator. Really good belts, and yeah, like a brand new. Got blowers here, hot air suction from up the top and the cold air down the side there. So it's got inverter chargers, everything. It's just pristine. I like a nice engine room, I've got to tell you. And everything down the back, I mean, you look under the bilge, there's just nothing. Or this is the sump, under the sump, I mean. But I'm not going to pull the floor, it's cabin sole up and show you, but believe me, and then you come around this side here, again, you've got access here on the side to everything. It's pristine, nothing anywhere, just like a brand new engine, just crazy. And underneath here, if you lift this upholstery up, you get to all the valves for the water and bits and pieces for, all the gearbox and shaft and stuffing box and everything. Pristine, not a mark. So a very cool boat. And that's you can see the stairs just lift straight up. So you've got really good access to the engine. But it's one of the things Beneteau build hundreds of thousands of boats by now, so they know what they're doing. Okay, I think that's probably close to everything I need to tell you. So this is the story. We had been looking at getting, I don't know whether you can see me here. I'm just holding this, I'm not using a gimbal. Jen says, oh, you're going to get the gimbal and mics. This and that. It's pretty simple. We had been, as you know, we've got Explorer. Explorer's got a few problems at the moment, trapped in UK, which is another long story. We had been looking at buying a Baltic 51, so we're going to run 2 boats into the next Ocean Globe race and use that new one, the Baltic, which is a bit smaller than Explorer, which is a big boat. It's only 57 feet long, but it's like about 23 tonne and massive, so it's a bit much for Jane and I to play with that. But it was fine, the Baltic 51, we could easily play with that. We're pretty committed to that, but in the end it didn't pass, or for what we wanted, it didn't pass our survey requirements. We were going to keep that boat for about 11 years and run it for 3 3 Ocean Globe races, and I was going to skip one of those, probably the Baltic, and have a bit of fun. But in the end we decided that that one fell over, wasn't quite right, and we said, oh bugger it, we want to go sailing. We've got a 2-year window this year and also next year when the mini globe race is on, and so there's a chance for us to get on the water. And I'm very much, and Jane's the same, very much a doer rather than a talker, and sometimes I feel as if we're talking too much and not out on the water, which can be frustrating. But we're all, Jane and I, and the whole team that's involved with with our races, are very proud of what we do. I've been very lucky. We've got a great team, and we love what we're doing, and all the entrants in the Ocean Globe had an absolute ball, changed their lives, all that sort of stuff. So it's fantastic, but it's time now to go sailing. So we changed very quickly. Once we realised the Baltic wasn't on, we flipped over and said, bugger it, let's go to the Pacific. So plan is now for the next 3 months, we do a bit of work here, get the desalinator on, get the hydrovane on, just get to know the boat, and then we take off. There's a place I want to get to. We'll go to Bora Bora, but then there's a place called Suvarov Atoll, which is the home of Tom Neal, a New Zealand guy, one of my 3 great inspirations in life. Number 1 was Robert Knox Johnson, number 2 was Jacques Cousteau from Calypso and so on, and number 3 is Tom Neal's first book I ever read cover to cover. And I've owned the chart of Suvarov for about 25 years and looks like we might finally get there. Anyway, then also go back to Tonga. We haven't been there since the volcano that wiped out the island, Mukiki, where we were sort of living, and had some plans and dreams to do a few things, and we lost a lot, got wiped clean. And we've got some great friends there, we want to catch up with them. So go and check that out, and then we'll head over to Fiji, to Vuda Marina, and then we'll leave the boat there. Then after that we come back from Vuda in October, because there's a lot of things happening in Les Sables d'Olonne, with the Vendée and so on, it's good fun. And also we will then start working pretty much full time, well not full time, but the major focus will be the mini globe race and the Transat. So we do that for the Transat will start in Lagos end of December, and then sail through to Lanzarote. So we head over to Lanzarote. Then after that we back to Les Sables d'Olonne, and then back to Panama, and then we'll be in Panama for a month or something, getting them underway, the mini globe boats. I reckon we'll have 16 starters. There's 18 trying to get to the start line, but we'll have 16 boats leaving Panama to head across the Pacific. At that point we'll head straight to Vuda Marina in Fiji, which is like a second home. Jump on this boat again, we'll have the boat there by then, and we'll be on board for nearly 6 months while we're sort of ramping up the Golden Globe, and also acting as the centre of operations for the mini globe race while that goes around. So the boats will eventually get to Fiji, we do the mass restart, and then after we've been on board for 6 months, we then head back to Les Sables d'Olonne. We get a few things going with the Golden Globe race, the entrance. We'll schedule a compulsory conference there, and then we'll head straight down to Cape Town at the end of next year. And we'll carry on with the mini globe race and ramping up the Golden Globe race, and the mini MGR will finish in March of 2026, and then we're straight back to the start port of the next Golden Globe race, wherever that's going to be. So and then we roll straight into that. So we will get a couple of years of sailing in, and then the boat will be pretty much stored until that's over, and then we'll call in. But this will become our home in the other side of the world, in the Pacific, which we really love. This is our backyard. We know this place like crazy, and we've been away from it for about 4 or 5 years now, so we're happy to be back. Previously this boat was called Ely, which is I love you, the connotation for texting and so on, and we're going to change the name. We're pretty confident it'll be it'll be Adventure within the next week or so. We're just changing the registration now, so that's that. So that's our little boat. Great boat. This is boat number 18. Why would I choose this boat over any other boat? And I've got to say, we nearly bought another Beneteau 411, which was a 2000 model. This is just my personal opinion now, and I'm not denigrating any other boat, because they're all good. Even Bavaria, there's a Bavaria behind us. I think Bavarias are quite cool, and Beneteaus are great, and Jeanneau's are great, and all this, that, and the other. But there's a few things that I look for in any boat that I want to go seriously sailing, because you've got to be ready for the ultimate storm. So you really do need effectively a masthead rig with twin spreaders that you can really strap down well in a big blow. And it needs to be a serious ocean-going rig, not just a minimalistic rig that's done for price break points and the usual average holiday season for a family that might be buying a boat. So you really do need a stay sail. You know, in my opinion, to sail with one head sail, furling gear, it just doesn't work when the wind cuts up. You need that. You need good slab reefing. Short-handed with a couple, I'd always love to have it back to the cockpit. So they're all important, and this boat is just about the right size. You know, 43 feet in that slot. Pretty good. This is 12 and a half ton displacement. You can carry enough gear. There's not a huge amount of storage in this boat like you'd normally have in a traditional Swan or whatever, you know, but it's got enough storage gear. It's got great tank sizes and so on. So, and these is the punchline. This is the other thing beside the rig and the bits and pieces. In my opinion, say from about 2004, 2005, 2006, 2007, all through that period, the nature of production boats changed dramatically, where different techniques were used. I remember one statistic for a, and it's I'm not being denigrating the Bavarias at all, they're all fine, but to build, the statistic goes something like this: to build a Bavaria 50, some years ago, there was less than 500 man-hours in the building of that boat the time it went to the showroom as a standard boat, not with the extras. The rest of it was all built by robots. Now, there's nothing wrong with that, but the construction technique changed. And I'm a boat builder as well, you know, I've been involved with boat building some time ago, and it's just like me, I'm old-fashioned, you know, give me a video VCR over some of the technology these days. But when it comes to boat building, these boats, you know, all the clippers, those early ones and bits and pieces, they were the last of what I call the real traditional building, where you got proper moulded edges with round curves instead of squared off laminates or something like that. And the structural elements were just fantastic, the way they built this boat, you know, with their framing and the integral floor and the way the bulkheads are attached and everything about it. These boats are really good boats, and I think that's why you see a resurgence of a lot of the older Beneteaus and Jeanneaus and all that stuff. They got a huge life. They can be refitted multiple times, and so this boat's had very little work, and we're not planning any refit at all. We're just checking things, and we'll go. Quentin and Ilke did a great job looking after it, and the previous owner looked after it as well. And the best time to buy a boat is owner number 3, okay, and be 12 to 15 to 20 years after the first buyer, because that's where the money is, and they take the biggest hits. So to buy this boat for $95,000 with all the gear that Quentin's left on board is fantastic. So thanks, Quentin. We only dropped the price €1,000 on what he was asking. Quentin was asking 96. As soon as I saw it, I thought, wow, that's a hit, and it really was. And he's been a fantastic guy to buy from. He's really been very supportive. But you can find good boats. And I always buy a boat on the story. Okay, when you see it up for sale, you try and find out what's going on. And every boat I've ever bought and sold, I sell it on the story as well as buy it on the story, you know. And so part of that is what's going on here. But I'm not sure when I'll ever sell this one, because you don't want a bigger one for your personal boat, and if it's any smaller, you don't have some of the luxuries that you might want. We've now got 2 stand-up paddle boards, because Quentin even left his stand-up paddle board behind. We brought one with us from France, but anyway. And I'm a great believer of toys. So we got a huge amount of fishing gear, spearfishing gear, diving gear. The dinghy, the tender that's on the boat now is really cool. I'll show you some pictures of it later, but it's not the kind of tender that we usually have. We usually have a pretty solid one, a bigger engine, so you can zip to places away from the boat. But for now, what we're doing, the current tender and the boat, the motors that come with the boat, 2 motors, the 4-strokes are really ripper, is just perfect for what we want. So yeah, very happy. So that's it, enough of that waffle. So don't worry, it's not a new YouTube coming up, but we will show you what's going on occasionally, and give you some of my impressions of why we are on this type of boat. So thanks for that. Anything you want to say, Jane?
No.
You sure?
Thank you for looking after the boat so well.
Yes, it's very cool, eh? It's cool down there. Okay, so on that, we will sign off and catch you later on. See ya.